Last time on my perfect world, I tripled the size of my distribution center, added liquid storage and distribution to the mix, and I even built myself a personal ordering and delivery service. This time I come up with a variety of ways to hide all the stations for our distribution center, as well as building a brand new power station that will be able to produce over 1 million stress units. Eventually. And with the plans we have going on in this area, we're likely going to need them. And later on, we'll also get some names on those shiny new trains as well. Standing next to these filters still makes me sad. I will figure them out one day. And I'm looking forward to removing these monstrosities once we get some proper power in as well. But I think we're going to start off the episode with maybe hiding some of these stations, I think. I don't really know what we're going to do about these ones yet because, well, there's not a lot of space currently. So that one's probably going to wait till after the power station because then we can remove all of these. And I also don't really want to have the same thing hiding all of them. But either way, they definitely all need to be hidden. They're looking pretty rough just sitting out there on the grass. And something obvious to hide at least one of these sections in, I might even do one on the other side as well so they're far enough away, would be to have some kind of a signaling station. So I jumped on Pinterest, I had a little look around, I found loads of examples, and the main thing I noticed is that they're all 2 stories tall, which kind of makes sense because they're supposed to be for looking out over train junctions, and that's the other thing. They're not really supposed to be here. It would make more sense if there was one over here by all these massive junctions. But what are you gonna do? Our stations need to go there, so that's where we're gonna have one. And I've got an idea of what resources I want to use for this, which does bring with it a slight problem, because I'm fairly sure we don't have any dripstone here whatsoever, and we've only got 54 over at our main storage. And yes, I did just take a 5-minute train ride in order to finish that sentence. But we need to go get ourselves some more dripstone. The other things I'm going to use for this build are pretty much just going to be spruce, mangrove, and birch. So, well, we certainly don't need to worry about that. We've got thousands of those. But yeah, dripstone, definitely a problem. So let's take our big drill. We'll take some of these. We're going to need some redstone torches, take that just in case. And let's jump in the mines to see if we can find some dripstone. I'm fairly sure that there is some that's exposed, but maybe not much. And as you can see, we've been doing a buttload of mining down here. We've got lots of huge caverns and spaces, but I'm fairly sure one of these directions, was it this way? This way? Is that the dripstone? Well, there is a tiny patch there, but I'm sure I saw more than that. Let's have a little look down this way as well. Well, it's looking like this might be the only exposed patch, so I think what I'm going to do is just chuck down my drill again and send it off, and we'll just dig this bit out in the meantime. There's not a lot, but at least it will get us started. Well, that small deposit actually had 3.5 stacks, which wasn't too bad, and to be honest, it's probably going to be enough for today's project. We don't need loads for a signalling tower, and we've run into more water over here as well, so that's just awkward. Ooh, although, hello, loads of dripstone, look at this. Let's quickly nab a bit more of this, grab our machine, and we can run away. We've probably got everything we need now. So I think we've gathered all the extra resources we need. We should be able to get the rest from our storage. So let's just grab a few more bits, and then we'll head back over to the new area and see how we get on with this tiny building, I guess. So this is the area we're working with. It's probably not going to be a particularly interesting build, so I'm just going to put on some beats and get this done. A short while later, I think that's actually come out quite well. We have a tiny little signalling booth here, and we can still access all the stations as well. They're all in here. Obviously, this one is currently in use. That's the log unloader. And then we have our stations for all the different wood types. And upstairs, I've just turned it into a small storage room. I don't really know what to do with it, to be honest. But that's looking pretty good, although I don't really know what I'm going to be doing with the terrain around here yet. I'll probably just fill that space with something irrelevant. But yeah, power station. I think I want to do that there. So we're not going to build this out any further just yet. But I think that works quite nicely. So with that done, I guess we can move on to the power plant now, and I'm looking at the space around here. There's quite a big area here. We could do it there maybe, but I quite like the idea of actually having it on this corner here. It feels a little bit more central, easy access from that side. So yeah, I think that's what we're going to do. It's also fairly close to the lava, which is what we're initially going to be using to power it, but eventually it will be powered by blaze cakes, so we need to bear that in mind. Now, where to begin? I guess figuring out what I want to actually build it with would probably be a good start. So let's figure out a block palette, and I'll meet you back here once I've got some semblance of a plan for this thing, I guess. So I've been playing around with some pallets, and I've also made myself over 1,000 fluid tanks, and I think I've finally come up with something I want to use. So we are going to be using some of the similar blocks to what we've used over here, and we're also going to be sort of combining it with the jankiness of the village that we built in the savannah. And because this power plant's going to be taking up quite a big area here, I didn't want it all being the same block, so we're going to use some of this acacia in reference to this building over here. We're going to use some bonded spruce planks, we're going to use a little bit of cut deep slate, we're going to use bricks, and we're going to use limestone. I know, it looks weird. Does seem like a very strange palette choice. But I think we can use the combination of mangrove and deep slate for the roofs to kind of tie it all together, and we'll just have like a bunch of different buildings kind of all jammed together that look a bit like a power station. And then of course we're going to be using the fluid tanks as well. So yeah, this should hopefully maybe work. Maybe with a stone foundation as well, because I do like putting my buildings on foundation. I can't help myself. Although I didn't with that one. Yay me. Then I guess the question is, do I want to do the building first and try and fit everything in? Or do I build everything up and then try and wrap a building around it? This is always a tough call, this one. Especially when you don't have a proper plan. I think what I'll probably do is mark out the foundation and then maybe mark out where the sort of 4 big power station-y bits are going to go, the actual steam engines, because we're going to have 4 full-size steam engines in here, so yeah, it's going to take up quite a bit of space. But if we just mark out where they're going to go, then I guess we can just sort of make sure that the part of the building where they are is taller than the rest of the building, right? You can tell I'm not very confident about this build, can't you? Let's just get a foundation down and maybe mark out where a few bits of the building could potentially go and just try and work it out as we go along. I'm sure it'll be fine. So let's maybe have a brick building over this side. And I think maybe we can sort of run a spruce bit through the middle. And if we make this the tall bit, this might give us enough room for the steam engines. And then maybe deep slate for this section. We could even put like a big entrance in there potentially. And then maybe the acacia over here. And what I'm currently thinking is if we have this bit in the middle being quite tall and then sort of stack some chimneys on top of that, we can have a bit sticking out this side, which would be quite large. That could maybe house the sort of lava loading area, potentially. We could have a small sloped brick building on the side and then maybe just sort of a taller bit over here, potentially. I don't know. I think that could potentially work. Let's get the rest of the foundation in, maybe mark out where the boilers can go and how it's all going to set up on the inside, and then get the rest of the building up and hope for the best. Hope is always a good plan. So I want 4 steam engines in here, but I don't think it's actually going to be wide enough. I don't think there's enough space in between the 2 tracks to be able to get them in and actually be able to get around the building. So maybe I should put them across this way instead, because this part of the building is probably going to be tall anyway, because I think I want to do like a limestone second floor. Basically a nod to this bit where we've got the acacia, the mangrove, and the limestone. I kind of want a bit of that effect over here as well. So if we put the tanks maybe there and then all next to each other, is there going to be enough space here? I reckon we can get away with that. And then we've got plenty of space here for loading up all the lava and everything. Yeah, I think this could work. So let's build up the shape of these bits here a little bit more. So we want this one to be a slopey roof. So we'll start it quite low, maybe just 3 blocks tall. And then just a shallow slope like that, I think should do it. And I don't know how this is going to tie together yet, so let's just replicate that on this side. You can always remove some of these internal walls when we need to, but I think for getting the frame in, it makes sense to actually make it look right. Then for the acacia wall, we'll go maybe 4 high. And I want to have a section on top of this, but I also want to have a border, but maybe we could do like a small sloped roof or something in there for the border and then kind of set back the top level. So we'd actually put the limestone in at this level here. And then that would go up to level with this building here, I guess. So we'd probably need a couple of blocks there just to finish that off. Then we'll go this way. And I think we'll stay in line with that because this spruce bit, I want this to be quite a tall tower. So I think it makes sense just to cut across here. We can, of course, get rid of all these internal bits when we don't need them because, yeah, we're going to need the space for the boilers. But it's definitely going to help me see the shape a bit better if I do it like this. So let's build up some walls around here. And then I think maybe we can put another sloped roof in over here. Not a big one though, just something small like that maybe. And then we'll make this bit nice and tall because we're going to need the space for the boilers. Okay, I think this could work. We'll get the big sprucey bit in and then we'll have some massive chimneys on top of that. Gonna have to start putting some of these roofs in soon though, so I don't get confused. Looking at this though, this building is going to be going a bit weirdly into the side of that. So I think I'm actually going to pull this out maybe a couple of blocks and have this bit stick out a bit more. So let's just do a quick bit of remodeling. So let's have a look now. Okay, that makes much more sense. And once we get the roofs on, it'll make even more sense. But I should probably go to bed. It's getting pretty dangerous around here. So I'm liking the shape so far. We're definitely going to have enough vertical space for these, provided I make this spruce bit here nice and tall. So let's see what we can do. So maybe something about that height, which once we've got the chimneys on top, That should look pretty good. And I'm looking at this as well. I'm thinking I might actually make this little side building a little bit smaller as well. Maybe take a couple of blocks off, just so we can make sure we've got more space in the front here, which means... oh, geez. Means I need to move this forward 2 blocks as well. And it's raining. Fantastic. There we go. The proportions are looking a little bit better now, methinks. So let's work out this last building, and then we'll get some roofs on and some chimneys, I guess. And I think that shape there is going to work nicely. Okay, so... that's the core parts of the building down. What I need to do now is probably to get some roofs on, because once I get the roofs on, I can see how tall this bit needs to be and how tall the chimneys need to be, and then we can crack on with the interior. So I'll bring you back in once we're a bit more sheltered from this rain, this continuous rain. Now I've got the roofs in, it's starting to make a little bit more sense, but I think I need to get the chimneys in to really pull it together. And for the chimneys themselves, we're going to be using these massive copper tanks. And we want these things to be absolutely ginormous. And if we hit them with a wrench, it will get rid of the glass bit on the side. So, yeah, I think that height looks about right. However, there's a cool trick we can do with the top here. If we take out a couple of these, and then just make sure all of those get turned back, it makes it look very cool at the top there. And to be honest, I think they could do with being a little bit more chunky down the bottom here as well. So maybe we could do something like this. Let's just try it on this side. Just about fits on this roof. How does that look? Oh, yes, that's cool. I like that. Yep, we're definitely doing that all the way around, using up so many fluid tanks. And I haven't even got to the bit that's actually going to generate the power yet. So let's just make sure I turn all of these solid. All right, looking good, but I don't think I want to go any further with the detail. I don't really want to be trying to figure out where the windows are going to go or anything like that just yet, because I don't even know if this is 100% actually going to fit everything in. So let's just quickly take down these interior walls we know we don't need and see exactly what space we're working with. Oh, look at that. We've got loads of space. Yeah, this should be fine. But I guess the big test is the fluid tanks. We need them to be able to be 8 tall, or 9 in total, actually, because we need blaze burners on the bottom. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Right, okay, so we can get them 8 tall, but we're going to need to make a little bit of space on the roof here because, well, we need to be able to pump water into these things, and I think we're going to do that from above. So it's going to be a bit tight, but it looks like we can get away with it. Let's just build up the other boilers here. All right, cool, we can make this work, and hopefully we haven't messed up the outside. No, that's all still looking good. That chimney's the one I was worried about. But now I need to go and grab all the stuff and things that are actually going to enable me to make this, and yeah, I should really consider lighting this place up at some point. I have my brightness turned up very high at the moment, so it looks bright even when I'm recording at night. It's just a better experience for you guys, but as a result, it means I often do forget to light things up, and this happens. Just stuff everywhere hanging out. But that's enough waffle, and everything's on fire. Excellent. But we need to head back and pick up all the things we need to build a lovely power plant. The inside of it, that is. The outside, we'll get to that later. So I've managed to get together most of what I need. However, I've only got 1 blaze burner, which isn't ideal, so we need to make ourselves some more of those. And for that, I think we need these sheets. Let's dump a couple of these things in my bag. We're probably going to need more than that, because I think we need 4 sheets per blaze burner, and I need another 26. And I can currently only do 16. So yeah, we definitely need to go flatten some more iron. Now we've got a bunch of empty blaze burners, it's time to go capture ourselves some blaze. And the easiest way to do that is just going to be to break into our little mob farm over here. So if we have a little nose in here, we should be able to grab some from here. Look at that. And we can make our getaway. Now to get this thing built. And I think I'm going to get the blaze burners down first, because that's fairly straightforward. We know what we're doing here. We just need 9 under each one. Oh, wait a minute. I didn't bring it up. I miscounted. To be fair, that also means I didn't make enough steam engines, so at least we found that out now. I'll be back in a minute. And there we go, now we have enough. So, next up, let's get the steam engines in. In fact, no, let's sort out the water. So my plan for the water is fairly simple. We're just going to have a line of pipes along the back here. We're going to have mechanical pumps going in like this. We'll have 3 on each one. Don't need that one. And because these can all be waterlogged, in theory, I should just be able to put water along the back here and along this wall, and it should all fill up. But I do need to get some more of these spruce planks to put a floor in first. Otherwise, we're going to be making a right mess. So let's just quickly fill this out. And hopefully that's going to work. If not, we might need to put another layer of water on to make sure the water source is being renewed. But I think that works. I don't know, Minecraft water's weird. So next up, let's get all the steam engines on. And we need loads of these. We're going to have 9 on each one of these. Because essentially what we're aiming for here are level 9 boilers, which is the highest level you can get until you feed them with blaze cakes. But if we have a level 9 boiler with 9 of these on, as well as making sure the water is at maximum and the heat is, well, as much as we can get, which with lava is going to be 50% heat. The blaze cakes will take it all the way up. But that will give us a level 9 boiler, and each one of these will produce 147,000 stress units. So once we've got all 4 up and running, that's over 500,000. And eventually, once we get blaze cakes, we'll have over 1 million SU units from here. And, well, hopefully that'll be more than enough. I mean, even 500,000 is going to be great. So now to get these steam engines connected up. So if we just do that, and that, I think this is going to be the easiest way. Then we can just extend the shaft out, and it should connect to all of them. And then if we put shafts through all of those and attach a belt, that will attach all of these together. So that's all going to output as sort of one power section, I guess, is the best way of putting it. But basically, they're all now joined together. That's what we want. Something else we're going to want is a kickstart for this system as well. And for the kickstart, I think what we're going to do is we're just going to hide a hand crank around the back here that just goes to its own little water pool so we can give it the kickstart when it needs it. So let's just make a small reservoir down here, get some water in, stick a pipe there, fill the floor in, and put a copper casing. And if we stick a cog there and stick a hand crank on top, we'll just make that glass, but we should be able to just pump water into there. So is that facing the right way? No, it's not facing the right way. Let's do that. And there we go. So that will put water in, and then that will give it a kickstart. But in order for that kickstart to actually do anything, I need to connect up the cogs at the side here so we can actually pump water into it. Let me grab a cog, because we're going to have a big flood as soon as I open this. So I think what I want to do here is actually speed it up. So if we put a speed controller in, we put that there, get a couple of gearboxes in, and that should all be connected now. Excellent. So in theory, if I power this just a little bit, it should start rotating everything and just running on idle power, because even though we haven't actually put any fuel in these little dudes down here yet, there is a small amount of heat in them, and I don't know if idle power is going to be enough to keep it running, but we'll see. So let's stand here, pump water for a moment, see what happens. So the idle power is, or was, spinning ever so slightly. However, if we, say for example, give a quick bit of fuel, have we got any good fuel on us? No, we don't. So we'll get the fuel wired up. But once these are also fueled, when we give it a little kickstart like that, it all should kick in and everything should start moving really, really fast. And we should have a working power plant. So for fuel, the first thing we're going to need to do is to get lava over here. And I'm thinking we'll just store a tank of it over here. And what we want to be doing is pulling it from over there. So I think what I'll probably do is literally just have a pipe that comes out of the side here. And then we'll just go underground and pump it straight up into the tank. I think that's going to be our best bet. I've set up a few janky power lines and, well, we're actually managing to pipe it over here now, which is nice. We will, of course, tidy all that up once we remove these things and replace that power with this power anyway. But for now, I just want to make sure we've got enough lava to get things started. So the next thing to do is going to be to set up some belts and, of course, the arms that are going to do all the work for us. For this delivery system, we're going to need basically a circle of belts, almost a full circle of belts. Something like that should do the trick. We'll just make sure that these belts are going to be powered correctly as well, so that should do the trick just nicely. Speaking of nicely, let's put some casing on these belts as well. And then what we're going to do is we're going to put a spout here, so this is where the buckets are going to get refilled. So we'll stick a pump in here, facing that way. The small cog on top, so that should power all of that just nicely. We'll have a vault for storing the lava buckets, a funnel so they can all come out and go this way. And I think I want to have one arm for each one of these things. So if we put them, let's say, opposite these panels, just so they're evenly spread. I will hook these up properly later. For now, let's just get the positioning correct. Something like that. Then we're going to want to power them as well, so we'll just do the same thing on both sides here. We're going to want a drop-off points for the empty buckets, so we'll put those there. And do I have one for a filter? I do. Look at that. So they'll dump their empty buckets in there, which will then go onto this belt, loop back round, get filled up, go back round here, get picked up by these guys, put in there. Yep, this should all work. Actually, it's not quite going to work. I need to move these because I need the power supply to actually be... well, I need it to be accessible, don't I? So let's put the power supply in first, like that. And same on this side. Now I reckon we can probably put a vault in the middle here, and if we were to put 2 thingies there for them and them, that should be out of reach. Should we quickly check? So if we wanted to drop off there and pick up from along here, for example, yep, okay, it can reach. There were no errors there. This is good. So that means we can just have 1 funnel there for that, and this belt doesn't need to be anywhere near as long. So that's the belts hooked up. Hopefully they're going to go in the right direction, but it has just occurred to me I haven't actually hooked up these arms properly yet. So what I'm going to do is probably dig a hole underneath, because that's going to be the easiest way for me to actually access these things. So the first arm is going to feed the first 9 blaze burners. It's going to drop off its buckets in there, and it's going to pick them up from along here. That should work. It says 1 selected interaction point was out of range. That's probably the one that was over here. Now we've just got to set up the rest of these, and hopefully we'll be good to go. Right, I think I'm finally ready. I think we're all set up. I just need to load up some more empty buckets into this thing, and let's see if we can get this thing started. It's not quite starting, and I think it's to do with the water. Yes, that cog is entirely the wrong way round. Not a problem, that should do the trick. So let's give it some water, give it a kick. Still doesn't seem to be kicking in. It's not getting the water. What is wrong with the water? Ah, well, that'll help. Let's try that again. 3rd time's the charm. No. Right, okay, I see. So this water here is not replenishing. That was always a potential problem. And adding another layer of water in will hopefully solve that problem. We'll see, I guess. In fact, now we've done it like that, we can probably actually simplify this a bit as well. So I can put the cog back round that way, and if we just stick all the pumps in like this, that should solve the water problem. Hopefully. I've said that a few times now. Maybe this will be the one, if I spin the pumps round to face the right way. Jeez. Please let this be the last attempt. Yeah, look at that. Everything shot up straight away. Amazing. We've got plenty of lava lined up, waiting to go in. We've got the lava being pumped through from the other place. Oh, we've done it. We've got all the power. But I guess the question is, how much power do we actually have? And to answer that, I think it's only right that we build ourselves a display board. So that's got the power to that running. We just need to get ourselves a stressometer. That's what we need. But how do you make one of those? A compass and a sight casing to make a speedometer, and then we can turn that into a stressometer. Okay, nice and easy. I like this. So we'll just stick this in here, and then we'll do some display board stuff. So the first one, we want to see how much has been used, and we want the stress in SU. Yep, and we'll have that on line 2. So we're using 15,000. How are we using 15,000? I suppose we do have it turned up like uber fast, don't we? So we don't actually need it this fast at the power plant. We want to be able to adjust the speed elsewhere, and that halves the amount we're using just to power this plant in the first place, and that should still be keeping up with water. Yeah, we're fine. So that's good, a 50% power saving already. So next up, we want how much we've got available. We'll have that on line 3. And we have... Oh, probably help if I set it to remaining SU. There we go. We have 582,000 remaining. That is incredible. But we still need one more, so we'll jam one around the back here as well. Oh, I need to still rebuild this floor yet, don't I? But this one here is going to show the total capacity that we actually have in the whole thing. And let's get the spacing on that right as well. Okay, fantastic. So capacity is 589,000. That's awesome. That should keep us going for a very long time. But now I've just got a bit of tidying up to do around here on the inside, so I'm going to spend a bit of time doing this. I'll bring you back in once it looks a little bit nicer. I don't really know what we're going to do with all the space. I'm sure we'll figure something out. And I also need to get rid of these 3 turbine things and link up the power over there. Potentially. Still haven't quite decided yet, but I think I do want to get rid of those things. They're a bit monstrous, aren't they? Over the next few hours, I watched the ultimate Christmas film, Die Hard, of course, and I got a bit carried away with the building. First off, I sorted the exterior of the power plant, adding in some windows inspired by a recent tour of Stam's World. You should go check that out. The man's a building genius. I textured the walls, finished off the roofs, and began terraforming around the sides. With the addition of some crossing points, a whole load of gravel, and of course some gravel and dirt variants to mess up the track edges, I blended the terrain to get a more natural look. I also dumped down a couple of gas storage tanks because I wanted to, and I think they came out okay. And now we have an area that's starting to come together. At least in one small part of it. We've still got loads more to do. But inside, I added some levers and redstone links so I can control the turbines and turn them off until we need them. Dumped around some fluid tanks, a few barrels, and a catwalk to give it some life. So I think I'm actually done building for the day. And it was a mission, but I absolutely love it. I think that's come out really nice. And hopefully that helps set the tone for the area as well. Now, we do still have a couple of trains to name from last episode, but as I'm away over the Christmas holidays, I'm actually pre-recording this video before the last one even goes out. So I am yet to see your suggestions, but I'm sure they're fantastic. fantastic. So we'll get the 2 new trains we built last episode named in the next episode, which will be at the start of the new year. But until then, I hope you have a fantastic new year. Thanks for watching and all the epic support as always, and I'll see you on the next one. You should also subscribe.